Coming up, we learn how Tzu Chi's relief team is helping quake survivors in Nepal deal with the upcoming monsoon. We meet Yang Youjing and her husband Zhang Shunhe to see how they overcame the Kaohsiung Gas Explosions tragedy. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Helen Liao. Thank you for joining us. Nepal's monsoon season typically begins at the end of May and will last for up to 6 months. Unfortunately, this spells trouble for tens of thousands of survivors displaced by the April earthquake. Just days ago, severe thunderstorm led to serious flooding in several tent communities. Let's see how Tzu Chi's relief team is helping the survivors prepare for the upcoming monsoon.
Nepal, unpaved roadways are full of puddles of water and have become muddy after 2 days of thunderstorms. Though this means survivors of last month's earthquake no longer have to deal with flying dust everywhere, the tents they have set up for shelter have been flooded as a result.
The rains came quick and hard. I couldn't put away my comforters fast enough and they all got soaked.
Survivors couldn't react fast enough to the sudden storms, and so outside of this tent community, everyone is trying to dry their soaked comforters under the sun. This septuagenarian couple was from a wealthy local family, and it shows from the gold jewelry on the elderly lady's ears. But now they are left with nothing. They can only place their blankets and comforters up high to form a partition and also to protect them from floodwaters.
Now we worry about the rain, because when it rains, it will flood here. Things will really get worse once the monsoon begins. Our home has been flattened. We don't have a place to live now.
There's nothing we can do. This is a natural disaster after all. If I could, I'd rather be at home. It's really inconvenient here living in a tent.
Having just endured days of scorching heat, suddenly survivors have to deal with the floods and further loss of personal belongings. As tents are erected right on the surface of the ground, they are susceptible to flooding. So a few survivors are trying to dig ditches around their tents to channel away excess rainwaters.
Bricks and sand can provide a permanent solution to excess rainwaters.
Sand can help absorb excess water, while bricks can be used to raise tents up. But as that will require too many bricks and too much sand, a better solution is...
We're planning on purchasing interlocking bricks. We will lay sand down as the foundation. For the tents, we will reinforce their structural integrity with iron bars.
As for the present, Nepal's dry season will be over in just a few more weeks. And then the monsoon will begin and last as long as 6 months. It is vital to cherish this window of opportunity and help the tent communities prepare for the coming rain.
On May 11, Tzu Chi held a second day of aid distribution, which took place at Bhaktapur's Kwapa College, helping a total of 1,700 households. Recipients received not only food supplies and daily necessities to get by, but also emotional support and encouragement for the days ahead.
Quake survivors from Nepal are all smiles as they wait for Tzu Chi's aid distribution to begin. Though 3,600 kilometers away, Master Zheng Yan's blessings are felt by the quake survivors.
自灾难发生的第一个时间起，正言始终惦记着大家的安危与身心的安顿。
Here at the distribution site, 8 items are piled up like a small hill. Many volunteers are here to help, including military personnel and cash for work participants.
On May 11th, at the aid distribution in Kwapa College, residents' frowns have been turned upside down.
My house was destroyed. I lost everything. But I'm so glad that I have received so many supplies.
To local residents, the name Tzu Chi is no longer foreign, but a name that means love and care.
Master Zheng said that though the material items we give them will run out one day, the seed of compassion we have planted in their hearts will blossom. I believe they will be able to stand on their own once more. They will then have a heart to learn about Tzu Chi's spirit of giving and helping others in need.
Meanwhile, 26-year-old Kashab is among the volunteers helping with the distribution. Kashab's right hand was injured during the quake. His shaved head signifies that he's in mourning for the 5 loved ones he's lost.
I've lost my family and my hand is injured, but I hope other people don't have to suffer like I did. So I've come to help them.
Another who's lost someone they loved, but also finding it in his heart to help others, is Laaju. Thankfully, Laaju was there to help this 10-year-old boy transport Tzu Chi's aid home.
There are some seniors and children who can't lift these relief supplies. I have the strength, so I came to help.
When he was halfway home, the 10-year-old's father and sister met up with him. Then they moved the 40 kilograms relief items onto the bicycle. The road home is 2 kilometers and uphill the entire time, but the family was quite happy despite being tired. Along the way, they were joined by other families also heading home with their aid supplies. As he returns home with the aid supplies, DeWall's worries are temporarily eased.
The walls on Mr. DeWall's house are full of cracks from the earthquake. The doors in their home are low because they believe each home has a spirit guarding it. So when passing through the doors, they must humbly bow to them, in the way in which they have faced the recent impermanence of life.
After experiencing a devastating disaster, the survivors are seeing life in a wider, broader perspective as they begin to rebuild their lives.
To help support relief and recovery efforts in Nepal following the strong quake, Tzu Chi volunteers in the United States continue to hold donation drives across the country and extend their prayers for the speedy recovery of the victims.
Here in New Jersey, students of the Tzu Chi Academy extended their prayers and thoughts to the quake victims in Nepal.
Life is very hard for them right now. We hope that they may rebuild their homes soon and return to a state of normalcy.
You're not alone, and everyone is here for you.
We know it's a hard time for them, so we will try to do anything we can to help them.
Those willing to give what they can include the school cafeteria cook.
Today has been a very rewarding day for all of us. Our kitchen staff were really happy that they could help the situation in Nepal.
The lunchtime charity sale attracted parents and students to come and show their support for Nepal.
I saw the sign, and I'm glad that Tzu Chi continues to do its volunteer work. I remember the earthquake in Haiti, so I'm glad that my purchase today supports that.
Along the bustling streets of New York City, Tzu Chi volunteers kickstart their donation drive.
So many people died, and I'm very much worried about other people.
Residents took the opportunity to express their heartfelt condolences to the Nepalese.
I hope the Nepalese can remain strong through this difficult time. They will definitely overcome this adversity and emerge stronger.
Trying to give as much as we can to help out Nepal.
Of the best Nepal, you can overcome this. If we Mexicans can rise again after the earthquake in Mexico, I believe so can the Nepalese.
Once again, the world has come together to support quake survivors through their darkest hours. Young volunteers take to the streets of Indianapolis to encourage passers-by to contribute to the relief efforts in Nepal. Meanwhile, Tzu Chi volunteers and Tzu Chings in Austin, Texas, stationed themselves outside the local mall to canvass for donations. With a respectful 90-degree bow, volunteers sincerely offer their thanks to each who make a donation. Among the volunteers standing in front of a local mall in Houston is Ling Qinghe, whose voice can be heard loud and clear.
Please show your support for the quake survivors in Nepal. Help them rebuild their homes. Wherever there is suffering, we will do what we can to reach out to those in need. In Tzu Chi, we seize the opportunity to give as much as we can.
Over the past 2 days, people from all walks of life have contributed their love in support of Nepal. A Nepalese living in the United States even donned a volunteer vest to help his fellow countrymen back home.
I have family there, my dad's family there, my mom's family there. Thankfully, everyone there are okay in my family, but there are thousands of other families that have been affected by this. You know, there have been, I think, over 6,000 people who've died so far and 11,000 people who've injured. So it's definitely tough.
Always at the forefront when disaster strikes, the blue and white clad Tzu Chi volunteers are no strangers here. Even at such a young age, the children display the will to help others and have come to realize the blessings that come with giving.
On May 12, International Nurses' Day is celebrated around the world to mark the contributions that nurses make to society. Here in Taiwan, the Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital organized a patient care contest at the hospital. The purpose behind the contest was to help provide patients with high-quality health care by developing a care plan to improve patients' health.
因为很久进来之后，当然我们还是照我们的一个约定啦，我还是带他去那个环保站去做环保哈。
Medical personnel from Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital take to the stage to share their experiences of patient care, from understanding a patient's background to tending to their needs. Whether it is using creative ways to break language barriers or inviting patients to volunteer at Tzu Chi's recycling station, Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital's holistic care has helped patients build up confidence and self-esteem.
There is a gap between the senior and junior staff. We hope that the kind of care we provide to the patients can inspire our junior staff to provide the same level of quality care.
Apart from inviting professionals to adjudicate the contest, 250 hospital volunteers were also invited to elect the winning team. The various evaluation criteria help medical personnel better understand the areas for improvement. By encouraging and supporting patients while also referring them to patient support groups, this nursing team has helped breast cancer patients come to terms with their fear and illness. From among all 32 entries, this group won first place.
As we continued to care for her, over time we saw a huge improvement and change in her condition. The assistance provided by the brothers and sisters, our doctors, and the medical team really helped turn her situation around.
During break time, under the guidance of medical personnel, patients at the daycare center got to interact with members of the public and to introduce their homemade biscuits and plants.
This event is providing them with a platform to showcase their own products. On the one hand, they can learn how to market and sell their own products, while also learning the entire sales process. It brings patients a sense of accomplishment.
While volunteers give their support and encouragement to medical personnel, hospital staff in turn put on a performance to show their gratitude to the volunteers for their long-term support.
Yang Youjing was a nurse in Kaohsiung, Taiwan, but her life was transformed completely after the Kaohsiung Gas Explosions last July. Her husband, who was a firefighter with the Uja Fire Department, was seriously injured, forcing her to quit her job to tend to him and their 2 children. Still, Yang was glad that he survived and came back to home.
He is worried about other people staring at him, especially at his hands. Once he was about to help wash our son, but the boy said no, because he was scared by his father's reddish hands.
At first, I just couldn't pull it down. My hands were stiff and just wouldn't budge. I had trouble squeezing this clip too.
I couldn't do anything about the injury he had sustained. I couldn't even share his pain. I can only be at his side and be supportive.
My biggest motivation is my family. I still have a wife and 2 children. If I give up, if I don't make it through, they will suffer along with me.
Back in August of last year, I was actually afraid of coming home, because when I did, I would think of him. I am actually very grateful to him for climbing out of that ditch. He said he did it for us. He said when the gas explosions occurred, all he could think of was us, his family. To me, that is the best present he has given me in all of these years that we have been together. And no matter what gifts he may have for me in the future, nothing can compare to his coming home alive to us. That is truly the best present for me and the kids. He didn't leave us behind.
Of course, I love hugging them. But before my injury, I could lift both of them up easily. But now, I can only do that with my left arm.
觉得那个工作很伟大。
I think being a firefighter is extraordinary. I hope that he'll continue to work as one. I have long supported him being a firefighter. I think it's a job that helps people. Because I am a nurse myself, I think there is a sense of accomplishment from helping others. Though it's a very demanding job, I think it's noble. This is actually to prevent direct contact with the skin. It's actually my pantyhose. It makes changing clothes easier for him. I hope he will make a full recovery soon. I think he needs to get over the trauma inside his heart as well. That way he can keep us company once again.
Next, we travel to Hualien, Taiwan to meet stem cell donor Mr. Wen. In 2004, Wen's sister discovered that she had leukemia and needed a stem cell transplant. However, no matching donors were found in her family. Luckily, Wen's sister found a match within the Tzu Chi Stem Cell Center and later underwent a successful transplant. To reciprocate Tzu Chi's assistance, Wen not only registered with the Tzu Chi Stem Cell Center, but also recently became a donor himself.
My sister was a stem cell recipient, so it has been my dream to be able to donate my stem cells to help someone. Although I don't know who or where that person lives, I still want to seize this chance to give.
Mr. Wen's sister was diagnosed with leukemia in 2004. Without a matching donor in the family, Lo turned to Tzu Chi for help. Luckily, in 2005, Wen's sister found a match through the Tzu Chi Stem Cell Center. To reciprocate Tzu Chi's kindness, Wen decided to register with the Tzu Chi Stem Cell Center himself.
It is great to become a possible match. I need to make sure my body is healthy enough.
In 2008, Tzu Chi volunteers organized the first stem cell donor registration drive in Taidong at the local Jingsi Hall. Despite his busy work schedule, Mr. Wen made it a point to attend the event.
Tzu Chi is the only organization in Taiwan that has a stem cell donor registry, so we need to support this effort.
Although 7 years have passed, upon learning that he is a matching donor, Wen quickly agrees to help. Knowing that the hardship the patient and his or her family members go through, Wen is more determined than ever to donate his stem cells.
Although I had to be sedated during the operation and now felt a bit sore, what I went through cannot compare to the pain my sister went through when she suffered from leukemia. I know how patients feel when they are waiting for a possible match, because my sister went through the same thing.
By donating his stem cells, Mr. Wen not only saved a patient's life, but also their family. Mr. Wen says he hopes the stem cell recipient can recover from his illness and that his experience can encourage even more to register with the Tzu Chi Stem Cell Center. Tzu Chi care recipient Ms. Chen at Penang, Malaysia came down with mental illness as a teenager. Eventually, Ms. Chen was left on her own. When Tzu Chi volunteers ran across her while on a home visitation, the poor woman was sleeping in her own waste matter. Thankfully, the volunteers were not afraid to reach out with a helping hand and help turn life around for Ms. Chen.
When she was 17 or 18 years old, she began throwing tantrums and just went berserk. You just couldn't reason with her, and she was very violent.
Perhaps it was the will of the heavens that during a home visitation, Tzu Chi volunteers of Penang, Malaysia ran into Miss Chen and decided to reach out to her. On this day, volunteers helped Miss Chen take a shower, the first she has had in decades.
Because she has trouble using her left leg and therefore she has been dragging it. She only has nails on her thumb and pinky of her left foot. All the other three have no nails due to the constant dragging. I think this must be very painful. I was very careful when trimming her nails.
Volunteers had to coax Miss Chen into accepting the makeover. At the same time, another group of volunteers worked quickly to clean up her home.
The exhilaration that she felt, she didn't express it through smiling, but wailing instead, which got all of us worked up like her too. So we were right to come and help.
The next day, volunteers brought Miss Chen to the local government office. Having lost her ID long ago, both Miss Chen herself and the world have nearly forgotten that she ever existed. But now she has a new ID card thanks to the volunteers. Thanks to the Tzu Chi volunteers, Miss Chen is slowly being remembered. Though she was unable to express herself with words, her heart and the volunteers' hearts are connected as one.
Next, we take you to the Buddha Day ceremonies across Europe to see how Tzu Chi volunteers held a dignified ceremony in a courtyard in Austria and how overseas Chinese in Germany worked together to hold a Buddha Day ceremony for the people there.
Nearly 100 people are taking part in Tzu Chi's Buddha Day ceremony in Hamburg. Among them, Zhong Jialong, a local businessman, is touched by the efforts of Tzu Chi volunteers.
I'm very moved to see so many volunteers working hard to set up this cultivation ground for everyone.
By performing the sign language song, The Wish, volunteers hope to inspire all to remember their initial vow. An international student from Malaysia, Hu Jiahui, also aspires to put his love into action.
I felt very touched while performing, because Tzu Chi volunteers give to benefit society and all sentient beings, without asking for anything in return.
Turning to Austria, the Buddha Day ceremony was held in a courtyard. Volunteers livened up the ceremony venue with elegant flower displays. In spite of the limited space, participants bathed in the Buddha's grace in this simple yet dignified Buddha Day ceremony.
We go back to Taiwan at the end of the show, where staff members at the Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital and community members took part in a pilgrimage to celebrate the 49th anniversary of the Tzu Chi Foundation. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for tuning in. Goodbye.